As the long day comes to a close, all the worries, the weariness, the disappointments, and the loneliness may still remain in each of our hearts. There are things we cannot share with anyone, and there are wounds we do not even know how to put into words. But in this very moment, you do not need to keep trying anymore. Let your heart have a quiet pause. Welcome to the hour of rest in God's Word, a place where we pause together, breathe deeply, and allow God's Word to gently touch the deepest places of our souls. Whether you are at home in the car or lying alone in a dark room, please believe that the Lord is present and He sees every tear, every soft hidden sigh of your heart. In the moments ahead, we will listen to God's Word together, pray together, and entrust to Him the burdens we can no longer carry on our own. This is not just a video, but a shared hour of prayer, a small community gathering before the Lord, even though each of us is in a different place. I invite you to set aside every distraction, to lay down your phone, your worries, and softly whisper, "Lord, please let me rest in you." And now, let us step into this hour of rest in God's Word. And now, as your breathing has softened, as the long day slowly closes behind you, we gently step into the next part, going deeper into this hour of rest in God's Word with Psalm 3, the prayer of one who is besieged yet still sleeps peacefully in His hands. Right now, I am only a small voice sitting beside you in the night, not teaching, not arguing, only turning back to the Lord with you like a sheep seeking its shepherd, like a child seeking shelter under a roof in the middle of a rainy night. Perhaps today you too feel surrounded, not by swords and spears, but by worries, sickness, lack, misunderstandings, and words that make your heart ache. There are whispers of slander. There are cold looks. There are quiet comments saying that your situation is already hopeless. And sometimes, even inside your own heart, there is a dry, hard voice saying that God will not step in. Psalm 3 begins right there, from the encirclement, from the fear, from the feeling of being left behind. But right in the middle of that darkness, the one who prays does not stop at complaint. He turns his face toward the Lord and softly calls His name in the night. When every side is against him, he whispers this line, "But you, Lord, are a shield around me, my glory, the one who lifts my head high." It is the image of a shield surrounding him, not a shield made by his own hands, but the Lord Himself, encircling, protecting, lifting His head up when everything else is trying to press it down. Then, amid the footsteps of the enemy, in the fear of being attacked from every side, He says again, "I will not fear, though tens of thousands assail me on every side." Not because He is braver than others, but because He knows there is one who stands between him and the storm. You can imagine yourself standing on a small hill in the night. In the distance are the lights of the city, the unanswered messages, the test results, the bills that must be paid, the relationships that exhaust you. They all feel like 10,000 fears closing in. But above you, the shadow of a wing is spreading. The shepherd does not sleep. The rock does not shake. In that scene, we quietly whisper a gentle refrain. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of His wings. We will come back to these words many times in the night, like waves touching the shore, like each breath in and out, slow and tender. Psalm 3 does not deny conflict. The encirclement is still there. The voices of attack are still there. There are people who misunderstand you, people who turn their backs, and situations you simply cannot resolve on your own. But Instead of tensing up to strike back, the one who prays chooses surrender. He entrusts the work of judgment to the Lord. He lets the Lord be his defender, his shield, the one who lifts his head. He does not try to prove he is right. He lets the Lord be the one who sees everything, knows everything, and acts at the right time. And out of that surrender, something strange happens. In the middle of the siege, he is able to sleep. He says, I lie down and sleep. I wake again because the Lord sustains me. This is not sleeping to forget responsibility, not running away from reality. It is waking up to something very deep. Tonight, the Lord keeps watch with me. Tonight, I can lay my burdens down so that my body and my soul may rest. Tonight, if your heart is in turmoil, you do not need to force yourself to understand every word. You only need to let these words fall slowly into your heart like drops of water soaking into dry ground. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of his wings. You may close your eyes now. Picture a small shelter in the night, a simple place of refuge. Outside, the wind is still blowing. The rain still falls. The bad news is still there. The unanswered problems still remain. But under that shelter, there is a warm fire. There is one sitting beside you, his hand resting gently on your shoulder, as if to say, you do not have to keep watch alone. He does not promise to erase every problem in a single night, but he promises to walk with you through each night and each morning. He gives you a very small yet precious grace, the grace to lie down and sleep and then wake up, the grace to step through one more day in his keeping. As we repeat this refrain, your worries slowly recede like water draining away from the shore. Your shoulders drop. Your jaw softens. Your mind slows down and stops chasing after the worst possible outcomes. From anxiety, we step into surrender. From surrender, we touch peace. Not a peace because everything has already turned out well, but a peace because we know we are lying in the hands of the one who is stronger than every siege around us. And from that peace, sleep comes like a quiet gift. You no longer need to be strong. You no longer need to keep everything under control. You only need to whisper very softly, like a blessing spoken over your own soul. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of his wings. And now, after we have walked through the sieges and practiced placing our fears into the Lord's hands, I invite you to step gently into another part of the night. No longer only the danger before our eyes, but a deeper question in the heart. In the end, where is my life portion placed and on whom does it rest? Right now, I am still only a small voice sitting beside you in this gentle darkness, not teaching, not arguing, only sitting with you to listen to Psalm 16 like two friends sitting together under a shelter, looking back at the field of their lives in the light of the Lord's gaze. Psalm 16 is a song about a peaceful inheritance, not noisy, not dramatic, just a soul softly speaking to the Lord in the midst of all the choices of life. Perhaps tonight, you too are standing before many crossroads. Work, money, reputation, relationships that pull your heart in many directions. Some of these things are not bad, but when they take up all the space, the Lord is slowly pushed to the edges. The one who prays in Psalm 16 understands this very well. He knows what it is like to be drawn toward other gods, other places of refuge, other promises, things that seem more solid, faster, more concrete than God. But right there in that place, He turns back and says to the Lord, Lord, you alone are my portion and my cup. You make my lot secure. He does not say this while standing on the peak of success. He says it while his heart is still full of uncertainty. But within that uncertainty, one thing has become clear. His portion is no longer money, no longer results, no longer other people's opinions. His portion is the Lord himself. Then he looks back over his life. The boundary lines the Lord has drawn, the stretches of road the Lord has led him along. Some parts were smooth, some parts were rough. Some stretches he once wished he could trade with someone else. But when he looks back with eyes of gratitude, he whispers, the boundary lines have fallen for me in pleasant places. Surely I have a delightful inheritance, not because everything suddenly looks beautiful, but because he begins to see that behind each event there is a hand quietly holding his lot. No one can steal it. No wind can blow it away. In your hands, my portion is secure. This sentence is like a bridge between anxiety and surrender, between comparison and gratitude, between chasing other gods and returning to the rock. Psalm 16 does not hide conflict. The one who prays sees clearly the path many people are walking, a path of running after gods that are not real. He speaks about them in a sentence that is very direct, very sorrowful. Those who run after other gods will suffer more and more. I will not pour out libations of blood to such gods. This is the temptation of every age. If we do not place our hearts in the Lord, our hearts will not stay empty. They will go looking for another place to cling to, some god, some false shadow of wings. Tonight, perhaps you too feel tired of that race, running after other people's standards, running after an image you have to maintain, running from the fear of being left behind. Psalm 16 invites you to pause for a moment, sit down, breathe gently, and let another sentence sink into your heart. I keep my eyes always on the Lord. With him at my right hand, I will not be shaken. When his eyes are no longer fixed on others, when he stops counting every win and loss, when he lets his gaze rest on the Lord, from there, a very different kind of peace begins to grow. Not a peace because every storm has vanished, but a peace that comes from knowing that at your right hand, he is standing there. The rock does not shake. The shepherd does not abandon the flock. The shelter does not move away. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of his wings. We will gently repeat this refrain, like a soft lullaby, like the slow footsteps of the shepherd walking around the sheepfold in the night. From faithfulness, a path opens up, not a bright shining avenue, but the path of life, a path that does not avoid every thorn, but leads to a very deep place joy in the Lord's presence. The one who prays recognizes this and says, you make known to me the path of life. You will fill me with joy in your presence, with eternal pleasures at your right hand. The path of life is not only the final destination, it is each small step in this present moment. It is how you live tonight, how you breathe, how you let go, how you place the portion of your life into his hands. Perhaps in the daytime, you have to calculate many things. You have to brace yourself very hard. You have to choose your words, your steps, even your smile. But tonight, in this quiet space, you do not have to brace yourself anymore. You are allowed to be small, allowed to be tired, allowed to say to the Lord like a child speaking to a father, Lord, if you are my portion, if you hold my lot, then I no longer want to run after other gods. In your hands, my portion is secure. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of his wings. From anxiety, we step into surrender. From surrender, we step into peace. From peace, a gentle sleep begins to draw near. Picture yourself as a field after a long day of plowing, now lying still beneath the night dew. No more sound of spades and shovels, only the warm breath of the earth and the wide, quiet sky covering it. Or like a sheep after a long journey, now inside the fold. Out there may still be wild beasts. But here, under the watchful eye of the shepherd, it can close its eyes. Or like a small stone leaning against a great rock, not holding itself up, not afraid of being swept away, because it knows there is a solid foundation lifting it from beneath. In your hands, my portion is secure. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of his wings. You can let these words go with you into sleep. Like a night breeze passing softly over the shelter, like a shadow of wings resting on your forehead. Tonight, you no longer need to search for your inheritance anywhere else, because your portion is already resting in his hands right now. And now, after we have walked through our anxieties about our life's portion and inheritance, I invite you to step into a psalm that is very familiar. But tonight, we will move more slowly, like two people walking together through a valley in the night. Right now, I am only a gentle, content assistant, a small voice sitting beside you, not teaching, not arguing, only looking with you toward the gentle shepherd, the one who goes before us, walks beside us, and comes after us. Psalm 23 begins very softly, like a deep breath, like a head resting on a shoulder. The Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing. Just one sentence, but in it there is my place, and there is your place. I am not the owner. I am not the one who has to struggle alone in the dark. I am a sheep. You are a sheep too. And above all, there is the shepherd. When the shepherd goes ahead, the road is no longer completely unknown. When the shepherd calls by name, the sheep know his voice. When the shepherd stays awake, the sheep can close their eyes. The psalmist goes on to speak of gentle places. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. Green pastures, still waters, not noisy, not pushing or jostling, just very simple, very gentle places, but enough for a weary soul to rest. Perhaps in the daytime, you have walked through very different places. A tense meeting room, a cold white hospital bed, a silent dining table, a road clogged with traffic dust and haste. Tonight, through the words of the psalm, the Lord opens another scene. Not for you to run away from reality, but to give you an inner shelter. Even if outside there is still the city, still the small room, still the hum of machines and the sound of vehicles inside your heart, the shepherd is leading you to a very personal green pasture, a very personal quiet water. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of his wings. We will return to this refrain, like the footsteps of a flock, steady, slow, unhurried. But Psalm 23 does not stop at pasture and streams. There is a very dark stretch of road, a place the psalmist calls the valley of the shadow of death. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. This is the deepest conflict, no longer about lacking food or drink, but facing a thick darkness, the shadow of loss, the shadow of serious illness, the shadow of things that have no name. You may be in such a valley now. Bad news from the hospital, a relationship that has cracked, a future that feels blurred, a sorrow you cannot tell anyone. The psalm does not tell you to deny the darkness. The darkness is there. The valley is there. The reality is there. But in the deepest place, this truth is spoken. The darkness is there, but the shepherd walks with you. Not the darkness disappears, not the valley is erased, but you are with me. Here something very subtle happens. At first, the shepherd is spoken of in the third person. He makes me lie down. He leads me. But when entering the valley, the one who prays no longer says he says you. No longer a distant idea, but a near presence. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. The rod and the staff, they sound stern, but for the sheep, they are signs that the shepherd is near. The staff to guide the way, the rod to pull back. The touch may startle, but it is to keep from getting lost, from slipping into a deep pit. Tonight, if you feel gentle touches in your heart, a quiet reminder, a boundary you should not cross a door, you need to close it, maybe that rod and staff quietly bringing comfort, not to frighten you, but to keep you from something deeper and darker. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of his wings. We go on with the psalm, and suddenly the scene changes very quickly. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies, in the midst of enemies, in the midst of those who do not like us, in the midst of adversity, not a battlefield, but a table. This is a very strange image. No one lays out a feast in the middle of danger. No one spreads a cloth, pours a cup, and sets out bread to the sound of clashing weapons. But the Lord does. He does not wait for every storm to pass before he cares for you. He does not wait for all opponents to disappear before giving you warmth. Right in the tightest place, he prepares a table. This table is a sign of provision, of presence, of a whisper. You are not alone. You have a place at my table even when cold eyes surround you. You can imagine yourself in a small room. Out there, the problems are still there. But in this room, there is a simple table. On it, a little bread, a little water, a small warm light, and a place set apart just for you. The shepherd does not only lead you through the pasture. He sits with you at the table. He does not only walk ahead, he is beside you, sharing his portion with you, calm, quiet, gentle. The shepherd is not in a hurry, and when he is not rushing, you too can slow down. Surely your goodness and love will follow me all the days of my life. Goodness and love do not stand still for you to run toward them. They follow me. They go after you. They wrap around you from behind. They hold you when you are too weak. And in the end, the psalm closes with a very deep note, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Not just for one night, not just for one season, but as a way of living, a place to stay, a home. The relief here is not that life suddenly becomes easy. It is knowing you have a home to return to, a shepherd to follow, a table to sit at, a rod and staff to lean on. The darkness is there, but the shepherd walks with you. Tonight, if you are in a darkest valley, you do not have to force a smile. You do not have to pretend you are fine. You only need to say quietly in your heart, "The Lord is my shepherd. I lack nothing." Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. And then, as a gentle lullaby at the end of the day, my soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of his wings. From anxiety, you step into surrender. From surrender, you touch peace. From peace, gentle sleep draws near. Like a small sheep lying down on the grass in a valley where shadows still linger, but beside it are the footsteps of the shepherd. Above it, the soft shadow of wings, and in the deepest place, a very quiet sentence. The darkness is there, but the shepherd walks with you. And now, after we have walked with the shepherd through the dark valley, through the green pastures, and the tables set in the midst of enemies, I invite you to step into another part of the night. No longer only the darkness outside, but the noises within the heart. The noise of accusations, of fear, of the feeling of being abandoned. Right now, I am still only a small content assistant for your channel. Just a voice sitting beside you in the night. Not teaching, not arguing. Only whispering with you right now in this room about another psalm, Psalm 27. This psalm does not open with complaint, but with a very bright line. A sentence like a small lamp switched on in an empty house. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the stronghold of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? Light, stronghold. In the night, these two images are very close to you and me. There are nights when our hearts feel like a small battlefield. Bad news, painful memories, words that keep echoing. Faces that do not understand you. Accusations, some true, some unfair. All of them like a small army surrounding your mind. Psalm 27 names this. The psalmist does not pretend to be at peace. He speaks plainly about war, about enemies, about false accusations. Though an army besiege me, my heart will not fear. Though war break out against me, even then I will be confident. The war is there. The noise is there. The storm is there. But in the midst of the noise of the battlefront, his heart returns to one single thing. One thing I ask from the Lord, this only do I seek, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life. In the midst of all he has to worry about, to plan for, to brace himself, for he asks only to be near the Lord, not to run away from life, but to have an inner home, a place to live in God's heart, even while the battlefield is still outside. In the noise of the battlefront, I only ask to be near you. Perhaps tonight you too have your own front lines, not swords and spears, but papers, bills, test results, unanswered messages, strained relationships. Sometimes it is the silence of someone you love. Sometimes it is the feeling of being misunderstood, pushed aside. Psalm 27 does not tell you to deny these things, but it invites you to place above them all one thing only, a deep, original desire. Not, Lord, please erase all my problems at once, but please let me dwell in your house, stay close to you, hide in your stronghold, even while the battle is still going on. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of his wings. We will gently repeat this refrain, like a breath that becomes steady, like steps that slow down on a dark slope. The conflict in Psalm 27 goes deeper still. Not only enemies outside, but twisted words, accusations, unfair tongues. Sometimes you have lived sincerely, yet are still misunderstood. You have tried hard, yet are still blamed. You stay silent, and that silence is read as guilt. The one who prays understands that feeling. He speaks of accusers of slander, of those who seek to harm him. And then, like a cut that reaches the deepest layer, he touches a greater fear, the fear of being abandoned. Some hearts have once been turned away by parents, family, or friends. Some people carry this wound for a very long time, very quietly, as if they are extra characters in their own life story. The psalmist confides this, but right there he speaks a very gentle line. Though my father and mother forsake me, the Lord will receive me. Even if the shelters of this life are sometimes torn, even if the arms that once carried you sometimes let go, even if places you once called home sometimes close their doors, there is still one who receives you. Not receiving you half-heartedly, but to receive me, to welcome, to take in, to embrace, to accept. In the night, that sentence is like a porch roof opening out, so that a weary traveler has a place to sit down, a place to lean back. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of his wings. From anxiety, the one who prays slowly steps into surrender. He does not deny the war. He does not deny the accusations. He does not deny the broken relationships, but he hands over the way of dealing with them into God's hands. He asks the Lord to show him the way. He asks the Lord to teach him how to walk on this uneven ground. He no longer runs after every voice calling him. He returns to the one thing, returns to a house of the Lord, returns to the first light. The Lord is my light and my salvation. This light is not a blinding spotlight. It is just a small lamp, bright enough for 1 step, 2 steps. But that is enough for the night. We do not need to see the whole road. We only need enough light for the step we are taking now, enough to know that we are not walking alone. At the end of the psalm, there is a very gentle, very slow word, like a long breath, finally released. Wait for the Lord. Be strong and take heart and wait for the Lord. Wait. Be strong. Take heart. But all held inside this frame, wait for the Lord. Not waiting in emptiness, not bracing yourself alone, but waiting for the one who is coming to you in his rhythm, in his time. Tonight, you too may be in a stretch of waiting, waiting for results, waiting for news, waiting for someone to return, waiting for a door to open. Psalm 27 does not promise that everything will happen exactly when you hope, but it gives you a place to rest your heart while you wait. In the noise of the battlefront, I only ask to be near you. To be near him is not necessarily to be in a visibly holy place. Right here on this bed, right here on the chair you are sitting on, right here in your slowing breath, you can be near. You can whisper in your heart, Lord, tonight I do not ask for many things. I ask only one. Please let me stay near you. Please help me believe that even if others abandon me, you still receive me. Please give me enough peace to wait for you in the night. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of his wings. From anxiety, you step slowly into surrender. From surrender, you step into peace. From peace, a gentle sleep begins to come close. Out there, the battlefront may still be noisy. Messages may still be unanswered. Tomorrow's tasks may still be unfinished. But in here, in this small room in your chest, there is a quiet space. The small light is still burning. The stronghold still stands. The shelter still covers. The shadow of wings still surrounds. And in that quiet space, you can let your heart softly release. Wait for the Lord. Be strong and take heart and wait for the Lord. Then gently like a leaf falling onto the surface of a stream, you let yourself drift into sleep in the house of the Lord under the shadow of his wings right now. And now, after we have sat together in the gentle light of Psalm 27, after speaking with each other about the one thing of being near the Lord, I invite you to step into another scene of the night. No longer the quiet house, but the wide sky. No longer only the whispers in a closed room, but the roar of a storm out on the sea. Right now, I am still only a small content assistant for your channel, just a voice sitting beside you in the dark, not explaining much, not arguing about right and wrong, only listening with you to another psalm, Psalm 29, where the voice of the Lord resounds in the midst of the storm, then ends with one very gentle word, peace. You can imagine this night as a night by the shore. In the distance, the great waters, above heavy clouds, thunder rolling, lightning flashing, wind whipping the face of the waves. Outside, the storm rages, but inside, you are sitting under a small shelter with someone sitting beside you. Psalm 29 opens with a call to look up to the one who sits enthroned over the great waters, over the night clouds, over every line of lightning. The psalmist uses one phrase again and again, like waves beating on the shore, like a heartbeat racing, then slowing, the voice of the Lord. The voice of the Lord is over the waters. The God of glory thunders. The Lord thunders over the mighty waters. The Lord's voice is not a harsh scream. It is a majestic voice, a voice that rises above every other sound, a voice that reaches the depths of the sea, the heart of the desert, the tops of the tall trees. But Psalm 29 does not only speak of storms outside. The storms of nature here are also an image for the inner life, for those nights when your heart is as restless as a sea in turmoil. Perhaps tonight there is a storm inside you too, thoughts running in circles unable to stop, worries about tomorrow, memories suddenly rising up like thunder exploding in a clear sky, questions with no answers like waves that keep crashing onto the shore and then pulling back. You are not the only one who has lived such nights. The psalmist has seen this. He uses images of thunder and lightning, floodwaters, a desert, trembling forests, splintering, all of it like a projected picture of the chaos inside the human heart. When the voice of the Lord sounds, the mountains and forests shake. But if you listen more deeply, you will see it is not only a voice that shakes. It is a voice that is putting things back in order, bringing chaos back under the hand of the Creator. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of His wings. We will gently come back to this refrain to remind ourselves that even when thunder echoes outside, you are still beneath a shadow of wings. You can try to look back at the storms in your own life. There were seasons when everything came at once. Illness, work in upheaval, family exhausted, finances lacking, your heart like a desert battered by hot winds, sand flying in all directions. Psalm 29 speaks of just such a desert scorched, cracked, empty, and in the middle of it, the voice of the Lord sounds like the first rain of the season, like a bolt of lightning tearing across a mute sky. The voice of the Lord shakes the desert. The Lord shakes the desert of Kadesh. The human heart is the same. Sometimes it needs a gentle but strong shake, so that the things clinging tightly without bearing fruit can be shaken loose, so that what is false, what looks solid on the surface but is rotten inside, can be exposed. It sounds frightening, but this is not uncontrolled rage. It is an act of love, like a shepherd striking the thicket with his staff, so the sheep caught in the brambles can be set free. In the night, you can whisper to the Lord, Lord, if your voice is shaking my heart, please let me understand that it is a voice restoring order, not a voice abandoning me in the desert. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of His wings. The conflict in Psalm 29 is chaos. Chaos in nature, chaos in the inner life. But right in the middle of it, there is a very calm, very firm statement. The Lord sits enthroned over the flood. The Lord is enthroned as king forever. The waters may rise. The waves may be higher than usual. Bad news may arrive unexpectedly. But sits enthroned means he is not swept away by the flood. He is not carried along by the current of events. He still reigns, still remains, still is king in the midst of all the shifting of this world. For an anxious soul, that sentence is a rock. You do not need to understand everything. You only need to know that above all that is moving, there is one who does not change. And then after all the images of shaking and quaking, Psalm 29 ends in a surprising way. Not with a final blast of thunder, but with a gentle blessing. The Lord gives strength to his people. The Lord blesses his people with peace. After the last thunderclap, his peace remains. Not a cheap peace, not the peace of someone who has never known a storm, but the peace of one who has gone through the storm and discovered that they were not swallowed up. Tonight, if your heart is roaring, if your thoughts are like a stormy sea, you can sit still for a moment. Breathe in slowly, breathe out slowly, and whisper, Lord, I know your voice is greater than every voice inside me. Please help me hear your voice in the storm. Please help me believe that above every flood you still reign. Please let me receive my share in these 2 lines. The Lord gives strength to his people. The Lord blesses his people with peace. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight I sleep in the shadow of his wings. From anxiety you step slowly into surrender. Surrender is not pretending there is no storm. It is knowing that in the storm there is someone still holding your hand. From surrender, you touch peace. Not the peace of absolute silence, but the peace of a roof that holds even while rain drums on the metal sheets and wind circles the porch. And from that peace sleep will come. Like the sea slowly calming after the wind dies down. Like the desert slowly cooling after a scorching day. Like the forest no longer shaking the leaves, no longer trembling once the storm has passed. After the last thunderclap, his peace remains. You can let that line be a small pillow for your soul tonight. Rest your weight on it. Let your shoulders loosen. Let your forehead soften. Let your heart grow light. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight I sleep in the shadow of his wings. And now, after we have passed through the storm, after hearing the voice of the Lord resound over the mighty waters and then settle into peace, I invite you to step into another region of the night. No longer the sound of thunder, no longer the trembling sea, but a very small, very close flavor. The flavor of something sweet, warm melting slowly on the tongue of the soul. Right now, I am still only a gentle, content assistant for your channel. Just a small voice, sitting beside you in the soft darkness, not teaching, not debating, only whispering with you right now about Psalm 34, the song of someone who has cried out, been in trouble, been sorrowful, and then suddenly realizes the Lord truly is good. Psalm 34 opens with a very gentle invitation, not a command, not an argument, but an invitation to taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the one who takes refuge in him. Taste and see, not just know with the mind, but touch, feel. Let your heart try a little bit of peace, like tasting a drop of honey on the tongue. Perhaps tonight you have tasted many other flavors. The bitter taste of failure, the salty taste of tears, the sharp taste of shame, of words that when you think back on them now you wish you had never spoken. Psalm 34 does not ignore those flavors. On the contrary, the conflict of this song is precisely shame, trouble, sorrow. The psalmist speaks of a man who was so afraid he pretended to be insane just to escape. A man who knows what it is to feel humiliated, embarrassed, to lower his face. You may know that feeling too. Those times when you were weak, the hasty decisions, the words you let slip and cannot take back, the situations that make your heart curl up inside, wanting to hide, wanting to disappear. In those moments, Psalm 34 recounts something very simple. I sought the Lord, and he answered me. He delivered me from all my fears. Not I pulled myself together on my own, not I healed myself. But I sought the Lord, a person who cried, who searched, who called, and he answered me. Tonight, if your heart is sinking under shame, under things no one knows, under burdens you do not dare tell anyone fully, you can sit here in this small room and let that sentence fall into your heart. I sought the Lord, and he answered me. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight I sleep in the shadow of his wings. We will gently come back to this refrain, like a lullaby, repeated but never tiresome repeated, so it can soak in. Psalm 34 goes even deeper into the inner wounds. Not only fear, but brokenness. Not only worry, but fracture. There are people who walk normally, talk and smile normally, work normally. But inside the heart is like a vessel already cracked, already weary, already split in many places. The psalmist speaks a very gentle line for such hearts. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Brokenhearted. Crushed in spirit. These are people who do not have much strength left to prove they are okay, who do not have much energy left to appear strong. Tonight, if you feel that kind of tired, you do not have to brace yourself anymore. This sentence says that right there in that very place of brokenness, the Lord is close. He is near. He does not avoid you. He does not turn his face away from your wound. You can close your eyes and imagine yourself as a small cracked stone resting on a great rock. The little stone cannot mend itself, but it is lifted and held by the rock. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of his wings. The conflict in Psalm 34 is not only pain, it also has to do with the tongue that has brought us trouble, the tongue of others and our own tongue. Sometimes you have been wounded by cutting words. Sometimes the very things you have said, the judgments you have thrown out, have stirred up more storms. Words can pierce like small arrows, but they go very deep and stay very long. Psalm 34 points to a very concrete path toward release. Not only, Lord, please give me peace, but also a change in how we use our tongue, how we walk, how we seek peace. Keep your tongue from evil and your lips from telling lies. Turn from evil and do good. Seek peace and pursue it. Peace is not only a gift that drops from heaven. Peace is also a path you choose to walk. It is the choice to keep your tongue from evil, to try not to pour oil on the fire, to refuse to let your mouth become a bridge for words that tear others further open. Seek peace and pursue it. Not just wait for peace to come, but seek peace and chase after it. Like a shepherd who runs after a lost sheep. Like a traveler in the night, moving toward a small light far ahead. Tonight, you can look back on your day, on your week, Are there sentences you wish you could say again? Are there silences you wish you could apologize for? It is all right if you feel it is late. In the Lord's hands, nothing is completely too late. You can whisper, Lord, please teach me to keep a gentler tongue. Teach me to seek peace, to pursue peace, instead of chasing after argument. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of His wings, little by little, from shame, from trouble, from sorrow. The one who prays steps into a very gentle tasting, no longer tasting bitterness, but tasting the goodness of the Lord right in the midst of a life that is still uneven. Taste and see that the Lord is good. That may be a moment when you were comforted at just the right time. An unexpected phone call, a door opening after many stuck days, or simply a deep sleep after many restless nights. These small things gathered together become a sweet flavor, a quiet proof that the Lord is good. I have tasted, and peace is sweet. Tonight, you do not have to do very much. Just let your heart slow down. Remember one moment, even a very small one, when you felt yourself brought out of a fear, a shame, a tight corner, and whisper, I sought the Lord, and He answered me. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted. Taste and see that the Lord is good. Then let those sentences dissolve like a small piece of honey, slowly melting in your mouth. From anxiety, you step into surrender. From surrender, you touch peace. From peace, a gentle sleep begins to touch your eyelids. Outside, the night is the same. There are still things unfinished. There are still stories unresolved. But in here, in this room in your chest, the Lord is drawing near to one who is brokenhearted. He gives you just enough strength for today. He blesses you with a soft, quiet peace, enough for you to lie down with lighter shoulders, with a lighter heart. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of His wings. And as you go into sleep, you can leave one very soft word in your heart. I have tasted, and peace is sweet. And now, after we have just sat with Psalm 34, speaking about tasting the goodness of the Lord in the midst of trouble and shame, I invite you to step into another region of the night. No longer the sorrow within, but the injustices outside. No longer only the broken heart, but the eyes watching wickedness flourish right in front of us. Right now, I am still only a gentle content assistant for your channel. Just a small voice sitting beside you in a quiet room under a soft night sky. Not teaching, not arguing, only whispering with you about Psalm 37. A quiet word for those who are tired of seeing evil seem to win, while the gentle and upright seem to lose. The psalm begins with a very honest line, one that touches our moods so deeply. Do not fret because of those who are evil, or be envious of those who do wrong. Do not fret. Do not burn with anger. Do not let your heart boil. Do not let your soul be set on fire by the evil you see with your own eyes. You and I both know that feeling, when the cunning person is the one praised, when the liar is the one trusted, when those who trample on what is right seem to live more comfortably than you. The news, social media, the workplace, the neighborhood, all sometimes tell the same story. The wicked appear to be rising, and the upright seem to be sinking. Psalm 37 does not tell us to close our eyes. It does not tell us to pretend we do not see. But it quietly says to us, if you keep fretting, keep burning, keep comparing, your heart will grow exhausted. It will wither faster than any injustice. Right after that, a very gentle image is given to reset our vision. for they will soon wither like the grass and fade like the green herb. The grass is very green at midday, but when the sun rises a little higher, when the wind blows a little stronger, it already begins to fade. False glory is the same. It looks bright, but the truth inside is fragile and thin. Tonight, when you feel your heart burning over wrong and unfair things, you can sit still for a moment and let this sentence pass through your heart like a cool breeze. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of his wings. We will gently repeat this refrain like a small step back from the flames of anger, so that we can see that behind all of it, the rock is still standing there. From telling us do not fret, the psalm does not stop. It is not only do not, but also do. Not only letting go, but also holding on. Trust in the Lord and do good. Dwell in the land and enjoy safe pasture. Trust. Do good. Remain on the piece of ground given to you. Live wholeheartedly where the Lord has placed you tonight and in the day just ahead. This line leads us from staring at others back to the path beneath our own feet. Instead of watching what the wicked gain, we turn to ask whether we are still willing to do good, whether we are still nurturing what is soft, gentle, and true inside ourselves. You can imagine yourself as a small sheep standing on a little plot of ground in the night. Far away are big pens full of light, laughter, noise, great excitement. But the shepherd is standing right here on this small patch of land, looking at you, keeping you, guiding you. Dwell in the land and enjoy safe pasture. Tonight, your land is this room, this bed, this small pocket of quiet time. It may not be large, not luxurious, not like anyone else's, but here the Lord can give you an inner safe pasture. And from here, the psalm opens into a very gentle, very deep promise. As if after speaking of anger, injustice, and comparison, the Lord softly lays his hand on our shoulder and says, look toward another dawn. The meek will inherit the land and enjoy peace and prosperity. Not the aggressive, not the loud, not the one who pushes hardest to the front, but the meek, those who are gentle, who know how to wait, how to yield, how to keep their hearts in God's hands. The dawn of the righteous will shine like the noonday sun. Right now it may still be dark. Out in the world, the wicked may still be laughing. Inside you may still feel at a loss, still feel left behind. But this promise speaks of another morning, a time when what is hidden will be revealed, when what is kind and faithful will no longer be despised. While we wait for that dawn, Psalm 37 gives us a breathing rhythm for this very moment. Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for him. Do not fret when people succeed in their ways. Be still. Sit quietly for a while before the Lord, here in this room, in this night. Wait patiently for him, not waiting for evil to vanish on its own, but waiting for the Lord to act in his time. Waiting with a heart that does not become hardened by anger. Tonight, you may feel tired of waiting, waiting for justice, waiting for an apology, waiting to be cleared, waiting for life to treat you more fairly. Psalm 37 does not tell you to stop longing for what is right, but it teaches you to place your waiting on the rock so that your heart is not swept away into bitterness. You can whisper, Lord, I see evil. I see injustice. I see how small I am. But tonight, I want to stand on the side of the meek. Please teach me to wait for you and not to wait for revenge. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of his wings. Psalm 37 also lets us hear the voice of someone who has lived long, not a theory, but the experience of an entire lifetime. I was young, and now I am old, yet I have never seen the righteous forsaken or their children begging bread. This is someone who has walked through many seasons, who has seen many changes, who has watched the wicked rise and then fall, who has seen the gentle and upright quietly remain. And after all of it, he calmly says, the righteous are not forsaken, not always honored, not always wealthy, but not forsaken. This sentence is like a shelter for those who feel alone, like a shadow of wings for those who feel they are losing out. The Lord makes firm the steps of the one who delights in him. Though he may stumble, he will not fall, for the Lord upholds him with his hand. You may feel you have stumbled many times. You chose wrongly, you misspoke, you lost chances. But he will not fall, not because you are skilled at keeping your balance, but because the Lord upholds him with his hand. That hand is holding you even tonight. In the midst of injustice, of anger, of comparison, the Lord is not letting you go. From anxiety over the success of evil, we are invited to step into surrender. From surrender, we begin to touch a very strange peace, a peace that does not erase all injustice, but keeps our hearts from being eaten away by resentment. And from that peace, gentle sleep slowly comes. You can picture yourself as a small field in the early morning. Last night, the wind blew hard. There are still marks in the soil, but now the sun rises, the dew settles, the light stretches softly over the ground. The dawn of the righteous will shine like the noonday sun. Tonight, you have not yet seen that dawn in full, but you can sleep in that promise, like a seed sleeping in the earth, waiting for morning. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of his wings. And now, after we have walked together through worries, injustices, and trials in the night, I invite you to step into another space. Not the quiet of a private room, but the place of earthquakes, of war, where the earth and the human heart seem to be boiling. Right now, I am still only a gentle, content assistant, a small voice sitting beside you, not instructing, not arguing, only whispering with you about another Psalm 46, where we face the storms, the tremors of the world, and are invited to stop just for one quiet minute to listen to one single word. Psalm 46 opens with a very strong declaration, yet it is not a shout. God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. God is our refuge. He is our strength. Not because we are strong, but because he is always there like a firm shelter when the storm rolls in. Perhaps tonight, you too feel as if you are standing in front of an earthquake of some kind. Not a shaking of the ground, but the tremors of life. Unexpected news pressures that build difficulties arriving one after another, burdens you cannot avoid. Psalm 46 does not ignore that reality. It does not tell you to deny your troubles. It does not tell you to pretend there are no storms. But the psalm points to something crucial. Even if the earth trembles, even if nations are shaken, even if war breaks out, God remains the rock. Therefore, we will not fear though the earth give way and the mountains fall into the heart of the sea. You may feel as if you are standing on a mountain, but that mountain was not built by you, and it is not held up by you. It is him. The Lord is the steadfast mountain, even when the waves crash and the thunder roars. Tonight, you can try to picture yourself as a small stone placed on the top of a high mountain with the deep sea below. The sea may surge, may rise up in great swells, but the stone still rests secure. because the rock is there unmoved, and when everything around you can collapse, you still have a place to lean. We do not need to do anything more. We only need a little stillness. We only need to sit in the peace of the rock. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight I sleep in the shadow of his wings. We will gently return to this refrain, like calm footsteps in the night, like a slow wind passing over the grass. The conflict in Psalm 46 is very real. Not only the waves and earthquakes outside, but also the tremors within us. Sometimes it is not the world out there that is shaking, but our own hearts feeling as if everything is falling apart, as if we are standing on the edge of a cliff. But Psalm 46 does not stop there. After all the storms, after all the upheavals, the psalm gives us a word that is very gentle yet very powerful. He says, "Be still and know that I am God." Be still. It is a reminder for you and for me not to strive harder, not to clench our teeth and try to control everything, just to pause for a moment, just to set everything aside for a while to hear him speak. In all the worries and storms of life, the Lord is still there in that very stillness. It is not about ignoring reality, but about finding him in the quiet at the center of the chaos. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of his wings. Do not rush to take in every bad report. Do not rush to react to every injustice. Just allow yourself a little silence so you can hear the Lord's voice within. So your heart can stop striving. Stop chasing after every answer. Psalm 46 is not only comfort, it is also a great promise. For those who are in the storm, who are struggling in the waves, this word is a guiding light, a reminder that the Lord Almighty is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. Yes, not only a light, not only a passing calm moment, it is a mighty one always with us, no matter how things around us change. It is the one who does not leave you alone in the storm. And not only when you feel strong, he is there even when you feel helpless and afraid. When the psalm says that God is our rock and our fortress, this is not empty language. It is a reminder of something very real, a shelter, a place of refuge. In the middle of the storm, you do not have to handle everything alone. He is there not just as a support point, but as a fortress, protecting you, loving you, lifting you up. And when we pause for a moment to listen, to breathe, to surrender, suddenly we realize that things will be all right. Not because every problem disappears at once, but because God is always present and always covering us. In the end, this word is repeated very softly, yet deeply. Be still and know that I am God. Just one sentence, but enough to bring rest, enough to calm your heart. No need to hurry, no need to fear, only to know that he is here. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of his wings. From anxiety, you slowly step into surrender. Surrender is not giving up. It is laying down the load so that the Lord can carry it. From surrender, you touch peace. A peace that does not come from solving every problem, but from knowing that you are not alone. And from that peace, gentle sleep draws near. You can lie down knowing that he will stay with you in the tremors of the earth, in the crashing of the sea, in the noise of wars. He is the rock, the fortress, the shelter that never changes. And in him you can find peace even in the storm. And now, after we have been sitting under the shadow of his wings, when the heart has grown a little calmer after the storms of life, I invite you to step into another region of the night, where the pain does not come from enemies out there, but from the very ones closest to you, the ones you thought would never hurt you. Right now, I am still only a small, gentle voice beside you in this quiet room. Not here to teach, not here to argue, only to whisper with you about Psalm 55, where the one who prays pours out a very personal pain, the pain of being betrayed by friends, by those closest to the heart. Psalm 55 does not begin with strength, but with a cry that is very soft, very true. Listen to my prayer, O God. Do not ignore my plea. Hear me and answer me. A prayer from the depths, not from fear, but from hurt. A cry from a soul that is wounded, disoriented, feeling abandoned right at the moment of greatest need. Perhaps tonight you also carry such a pain, not from strangers, but from someone you once trusted. You probably know that feeling when you give your whole heart to someone and they turn their back. When you open your soul and the very person you helped becomes the one who wounds you. In Psalm 55, the one who prays is not only speaking about enemies on the battlefield. He speaks of a betrayal of a close friend. And the pain does not come from an outsider, but from one who once shared joy and sorrow, who sat at the same table, who shared the same bread. If an enemy were taunting me, if it were I could endure it, if a foe were arrogantly insulting me, I could hide from them. But it is not so. The one who betrays is an old friend, someone he once trusted, someone who once was a support and now has become a burden. Psalm 55 does not only speak of pain, it also speaks of the burning confusion when you cannot understand why. Why would the one I trusted betray me? Why would the one I treated well be the one to hurt me? We can all feel how difficult that is. But right in the middle of those questions, Psalm 55 offers a way forward. Cast your cares on the Lord, and he will sustain you. He will never let the righteous be shaken. Cast your cares on the Lord. Lay your burdens down into his hands. We do not have to brace ourselves, do not have to hold everything inside, do not have to carry all this pain alone. We can loosen our grip. We can entrust it to him. Right now, you can picture yourself standing in front of a wall too high, too solid, and you cannot climb over it. But right there in front of you, a hand is reaching out, ready to lift you. The wall does not disappear, but there is one who raises you above it. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of his wings. We will gently return to this refrain, like a small breeze passing along the eaves, carrying us from anxiety into peace. The words of the psalm are not there to hide the pain, but to help us place the burden in God's hands. Not because we are too weak, but because he is always ready to carry our share. Psalm 55 does not stop at sorrow. He does not only weep over betrayal, he also calls his own heart into a different posture. It is a way of renewing the soul so that pain does not harden it into bitterness. Evening, morning, and noon I call to the Lord, and he hears my voice. Calling out 3 times morning, noon, and evening, crying out at every hour, at night, in the early morning, in the busy moments of midday, not because God has not heard, but because we need to remind ourselves again and again of one truth: he is near and he is listening. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of his wings. Like a shepherd tending his flock, he is still leading us through each day and each night. And with every step, every breath, he is teaching us how to cast our burdens on the Lord. And then, as a final word of comfort, Psalm 55 gives a gentle, simple confession. But as for me, I trust in you. We cannot change other people. We cannot rewrite the past, but we can choose each day, each moment, to trust the one who has stood by us through all these months and years. We can believe that even when people betray us, the Lord remains the steadfast rock. And in the end, Psalm 55 brings us to a deep, quiet peace, small but enough for you to sleep in tonight. He is always ready to stretch out his hand. We need only to dare to let go of the weight. Amid pain, betrayal, and hurt, the Lord is still there with a hand that upholds with wings that shelter. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of his wings. From anxiety, we step into surrender. From surrender, we begin to feel peace. And from peace, gentle sleep will come. Tonight, you can lay your burden down and entrust everything to him. You do not have to hold yourself up anymore. He will hold it all. And now, after we have just walked through the pain of being wounded by those closest to us, after learning how to cast our burdens on the Lord, I invite you to take one more step into the night. This stretch of the road is called fear. Not vague fear, but a very real, very near fear, as if someone were always walking behind you, always watching, always waiting. Right now, I am still only a gentle, content assistant for your channel, just a small voice sitting beside you in this soft light. Not teaching, not arguing, only here right now to listen with you to Psalm 56, the quiet words of someone who knows what it is to tremble and also knows what it is to trust. Psalm 56 opens in a tense setting, not just sadness in the imagination. The psalmist is being watched, followed, his words twisted. He is surrounded by intentions he cannot control. He speaks very honestly about those who are against him. They lie in wait to see where he will stumble. They bend every word he says. They gather up every detail only to turn it back against him. Perhaps tonight you also understand a part of that feeling, the feeling of having to guard your words, the fear of being misunderstood, the sense that someone is always waiting for you to slip, to weaken, so they can judge, so they can talk behind your back. In that state of mind, Psalm 56 does not paint things in rosy colors. The one who prays does not pretend to be strong and does not try to act unafraid. He says it plainly, very briefly, very gently. When I am afraid, I put my trust in you. Not if I am afraid, but when I am afraid. That is, there really are times when I am afraid. Afraid of people, afraid of the future, afraid of failure, afraid that the things I have said or done will be dragged back into the light. But right inside that, when I am afraid, he adds one more half of a sentence. I put my trust in you. The fear does not vanish, but fear is no longer the final point. It becomes the starting point of a small act placing his heart into God's hands. Tonight, if a wave of fear is rising in your chest, you do not need to force it down. You do not need to chase it away by your own strength. You can simply repeat quietly, when I am afraid, I put my trust in you. And let that sentence stay in the room, stay in your chest. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of his wings. We will gently return to this refrain, like a small wave washing up on the shore, then drawing back, then returning again. The conflict in Psalm 56 is not only the fear of being attacked, it is also the pain of having your words twisted, of good intentions being read as bad, of a careless sentence being stretched into a long, heavy story. Perhaps you have gone through that too. A moment of misspeaking, a time when you heard your own words repeated back to you, but warped, shortened, or with things added that you never said. That feeling makes the heart uneasy, wanting to explain. But the more you explain, the more tangled it becomes. The one who prays lays all of this before the Lord. He does not run around trying to correct every misunderstanding. He does not have the strength to fight every whisper. But he believes there is one who sees everything, records everything, understands everything. And then he speaks a very beautiful, very deep, very gentle line for those who cry in the night. You have kept count of my tossings. Put my tears in your bottle. Are they not in your book? Every time he tosses and turns, the Lord counts it. Every tear that falls, the Lord does not let it be lost. They do not only fall on the pillow, on the clothes, they fall into his bottle, into his book. Tears are written into heaven's record. Tonight, if your eyes have ever been wet over things you cannot fully tell, over fears you do not know how to name, over misunderstandings you do not know how to untangle, you can let this sentence hold you for a little while. No tear is meaningless. No restless turning is wasted. The Lord does not only hear spoken prayers, he also records the wordless tears. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of his wings. From that place of fear, Psalm 56 leads us toward a place of standing firm, not because the circumstances change, but because the way we see them changes. In God, whose word I praise, in the Lord, whose word I praise, in God I trust, I shall not be afraid. What can man do to me? People can still do many things. They can speak, they can attack, they can misunderstand, but they cannot reach the deepest place in you, the place where God has laid his hand. Tonight, these words do not come to make you hard, but to make you a little less shaken, to help you know that beneath everything there is a foundation that cannot be moved. And then at the end of Psalm 56, a very beautiful picture opens like a small path leading us out of fear. For you have delivered my soul from death, yes, my feet from falling, that I may walk before God in the light of life, not only being saved from, but being led into the light of life, into a gentle light where you can walk before the Lord, not with the posture of someone always running away, but with the steps of someone who is held, who is lifted. From fear, we are invited into light. Not a harsh, blinding light, but the soft light of early morning when the night has begun to loosen its grip, yet the quiet is still deep enough to cradle what remains of sleep on your eyelid. Tonight, if fear rises like a wave, you can let these two sentences speak back and forth inside your heart. When I am afraid, I put my trust in you. You have kept count of my tossings. Put my tears in your bottle. Are they not in your book? One sentence for fear, one sentence for tears, both leading you to the same place, trust. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of his wings. From anxiety, you step slowly into surrender. Not a blind surrender, but a conscious surrender, Lord. I know I am afraid, but I choose to place this fear into your hands. From surrender, you touch peace. A peace not because everyone suddenly loves you more, but because you know there is one who understands you completely. And from that peace, gentle sleep begins to draw near. Like a bird after a long day of flight, folding its wings under the eaves. Like a sheep after a rough and stony path, lying down on the grass within the shepherd's gaze. You can let this night close with one very soft line. Tears are written into heaven's book. When I am afraid, I put my trust in you, and then let your heart slowly sink into stillness under the shadow of his wings right now. And now, after we have walked through fears and the wounds within, I invite you to step into another space in the night. No longer the harsh winds or storms outside, but those moments when the heart is weary, when strength is drained, and we feel we cannot take even one more step. Right now, I am still just a gentle voice sitting beside you in this quiet space, not here to teach, not here to argue, only here as a friend who listens, sitting with you as we turn to Psalm 61, where the one who prays calls on the Lord to uphold him when his heart is worn out, when his strength is low. Psalm 61 begins with a prayer that is very small, yet very great. Hear my cry, O God. Listen to my prayer, a prayer from a tired heart that no longer has the strength to say much and can only let out a sigh. Just like you, sometimes in this life, we no longer have the strength to argue, to fight, to keep explaining. We can only ask the Lord to listen so that he knows what is in our hearts. The one who prays in Psalm 61 does not speak of standing firm on his own. He does not call on his own strength. He calls on someone else, someone who can do what he cannot. Lead me to the rock that is higher than I. Lead me to the rock that is higher. That higher rock is not our own strength, but the place where God stands solid and unshaken. The higher rock is where a weary heart can find shelter, a place where the head no longer has to hang low but can be lifted up. Tonight, if you feel tired, worn out at the end of yourself, you can imagine yourself standing at the foot of a mountain looking up at the rock. That is a safe place, a place from which you can see what is around you, yet no longer be afraid. Just one step in that direction, and you will begin to feel the steadiness. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of his wings. We will gently return to this refrain, like waves washing the shore, not rushing, not crashing, just quietly, steadily. Psalm 61 is not only a prayer about the strength of the one on the rock. It is also a call for those who feel too tired, too exhausted to go on. With each step, the one who prays is not only asking for God's strength, but also asking for his peace. When you feel you cannot go any further, perhaps you too have asked, Lord, how can I possibly keep going, Lord, when I'm so tired, when I have no strength left? What am I supposed to do? The Lord does not answer with a promise that everything will change at once, but he leads you to a higher place where you can see things from another angle with eyes that have been lifted. He does not push you forward. He gently leads you step by step to a place that is safer, higher, not because you have become stronger, but because he is always steadfast. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of his wings. We will repeat this refrain like a soft reminder, like a lullaby for a weary soul, so that when the heart is tired, when your feet have no strength left, you can still rest in this quiet place. Psalm 61 also offers a gentle and comforting promise. Each step will not be taken alone. Each stretch of the road will not last forever. Then will I ever sing in praise of your name and fulfill my vows day after day. When you pass through the weariness, when you lay your burdens down into the Lord's hands, you will sing and offer your vows. Not because everything has been solved, but because you know there is one who is there, always ready to lift you up, always ready to give you a place of refuge. That song is not the song of someone with no more struggles, but the song of gratitude from a heart that realizes even while some troubles remain, you have never had to walk alone. The Lord will be beside you. He will lead you step by step, no matter how tired you are. Psalm 61 is not only about exhaustion, but also about trust. Trust that there is one who still holds you, one who still leads you through even when you feel you do not have the strength to keep going. You can let these words settle gently into your heart, Lord. When I am weary, please set me upon your rock. When I am weak, please uphold me with your hand. And when you feel your heart grow lighter, when your shoulders are no longer as heavy, let sleep come softly like a gift of peace from the Lord. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of his wings. From anxiety, you slowly step into surrender. From surrender, you find peace. And from that peace, sleep comes gently, without haste, without strain. Out there, the wind may still blow. There may still be problems unresolved. But in here in this heart, you can sleep in peace, knowing that you are not alone. Amid all the turnings of life, you are invited to stand firm on the Lord's rock, so that when you are weary, you can still rest in the shadow of his wings. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of his wings. And now, after we have just whispered with Psalm 61, asking the Lord to set us upon the rock that is higher when our hearts are weary, I invite you to take one more step. A step from being lifted up to learning how to sit still on that rock. No more running, no more straining, just sitting, just breathing softly, just letting the inside slowly grow quiet. Right now, I am still only a small content assistant for your channel. Just a voice sitting beside you in the night, not explaining doctrines, not arguing, only whispering with you right now in this room about Psalm 62, a very gentle lesson in inner stillness. Psalm 62 begins like a deep breath, not with a loud cry, but with a quiet confession. Truly, my soul finds rest in God. My salvation comes from him. My soul has found a place to rest, but not in good news, not in a new success, not in the latest compliment. It is in God. You can look back over your day. How many sounds have passed through your heart? The sound of work, the sound of responsibility, the sound of comparison, the sound of worry over money, the future, the ones you love. Psalm 62 does not tell those sounds to disappear, but it gives us a place where the volume can be turned down. Like when you close the door of your room, draw the curtains and slowly switch off each light, each source of noise. In that soft darkness, you begin to hear another rhythm, the rhythm of stillness. Truly, he is my rock and my salvation. He is my fortress. I will never be shaken. Rock, fortress. Images we already know, yet each night they carry a new meaning. Tonight, you may not need anyone to add anything complicated. You may only need to know that there is a place inside where your soul can sit down. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of his wings. We will gently repeat this refrain like a shepherd walking slowly around the sheepfold at night, not in a hurry, not noisy. The conflict of Psalm 62 is not mostly on the outside, but on the inside. Not only enemies and storms, but hypocrisy and the temptation to lean on power money and things that look solid but are hollow within. The psalmist speaks of those who bless with their mouths but curse in their hearts, smiling while pushing others out of the way, speaking soft words while hiding what is false inside. You and I have both touched that kind of hypocrisy, sometimes from others, sometimes from ourselves when we are tired, afraid, or too scared to live honestly. At the same time, there is another quiet temptation growing, the temptation to place our trust in things we can see clearly. Power, connections, money, things that give us a sense of control of safety more than sitting still in God. Psalm 62 gently touches this. Do not trust in extortion or put vain hope in stolen goods. Though your riches increase, do not set your heart on them. Having more does not guarantee rest. Climbing higher does not guarantee stability. If the heart is anchored there, one small gust is enough to make everything sway. Tonight, you may be carrying some quiet worries just like that. An amount of money, a plan, some what if that you keep turning over and over in your mind like flipping a stone that only hides dry soil beneath. Psalm 62 does not demand that you throw everything away, but it invites you to move your heart away from that place, to move it from power to the rock, from possessions to the one who is the source of all things. Yes, my soul find rest in God. My hope comes from him. Here, the one who prays is speaking to his own soul. Yes, my soul find rest. Not a harsh command, but a gentle soothing. Like a mother speaking to the child crying in her arms. You can do that too. You can whisper to your own heart, my soul, stop running. Here tonight, I only need to rest in God. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of his wings. From that inner struggle, Psalm 62 leads us toward a very gentle conclusion. Not loud, not a slogan, just the gathered words of someone who has watched life long enough. One thing God has spoken, two things I have heard. Power belongs to you. God, and with you, Lord, is unfailing love. Power is with God. Faithful love is with God. Both strength and tenderness, both justice and mercy meet in one person. Not power in human hands, not love that depends on you being worthy, but a strength that does not change a love that is never withdrawn. When that truth begins to sink in, the inner noise starts to soften. The voice of comparison fades. The voice asking, what about tomorrow, grows quieter. The if in your mind begins to thin out. You can lay your head on the pillow and whisper very softly, I quiet the noise in my heart so I can hear that you are enough. You do not need to strain to hear any strange voice. You just need to recognize that right here in this silence, God is present. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of his wings. From anxiety, you step into surrender. Surrender is not shutting your mind off, but stopping the attempt to carry everything alone. From surrender, you touch peace. Peace not because every source of worry has vanished, but because you have shifted the center from yourself to God. And from that peace, quiet sleep begins to draw near, like a lake after a windy day slowly becoming smooth again, returning the sky in one clear reflection on its surface. Like a flock of sheep after a long day's journey, lying down at last under the watchful eye of the shepherd, no longer needing to look around for anyone else. Tonight, you can shut down all the noises, dim each source of light, to listen for one very small sentence, yet enough for your heart. Truly, my soul finds rest in God. And to let one very simple, very familiar line carry you into sleep. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of his wings. And now, after we have let the Lord lift us onto the rock that is higher, after we have learned to rest a little when our heart is tired, I invite you to take one very small step. Step from being worn out or outside to being quiet only inside. From asking God to lift you up to sitting still on the rock and simply breathing slowly. Right now, I am still only a small content assistant for your channel, just a gentle voice sitting beside you in the night. Not teaching, not arguing, only here right now to walk with you into Psalm 62, the lesson of inner stillness in a very noisy world. This psalm does not begin with a cry, but with a very soft confession. Truly, my soul finds rest in God. My salvation comes from Him. The soul does not rest on results, not on messages or bank accounts or praise. The soul rests in God, rests in the rock, in the one who does not change even when everything else shifts from day to day. You can look back over your day. How many noises have passed through you? Work bills, caring for loved ones, sickness, news, comparison, worries about the future. Each sound like a wave layer upon layer crashing into your heart. Psalm 62 gives us a different space. Like when you close the door, turn down the lights, draw the curtains, and let the room be lit by only one soft source of light. In that light, your heart begins to slow. Truly, He is my rock and my salvation. He is my fortress. I will never be shaken. The rock, the fortress, the shelter. Familiar images, but each night they carry a different flavor. Tonight, the rock is the place where you can lean your back, not to plan more, but to truly rest. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of His wings. We will gently repeat this refrain, like a slow lullaby, like the footsteps of the shepherd walking around the sheepfold in the dark. But Psalm 62 does not speak only of stillness. It also points to the things that keep our hearts from being still. Not only the storms outside, but hypocrisy, double-heartedness, and the temptation to cling to power and wealth. There are people who bless with their mouths, but scheme in their hearts. Gentle on the surface, cold inside. You may have encountered those looks, those smiles. There are times when we ourselves get pulled into that game, leaning on connections, leaning on status, leaning on the numbers in an account. That feeling of standing a bit higher, and then one day, one bad piece of news is enough to make our footing slip. Psalm 62 touches this very softly, yet very directly. Do not trust in extortion or put vain hope in stolen goods. Though your riches increase, do not set your heart on them. It does not say, stop doing anything. It says, do not set your heart on them. Do not hang your whole heart on things that can disappear with a single phone call. Tonight, maybe you're holding a few very concrete worries. Worries about money, about work, about a place, a position. Those worries are not wrong. But if you cling too tightly, your heart will struggle to find rest. So the one who prays turns inward and speaks to his own soul. Yes, my soul find rest in God. My hope comes from Him. He does not speak to others first. He soothes his own soul. My soul rests now, not resting by running away, but resting in God right in the middle of the unfinished tasks. You can do that too, gently. No need to shout. Just whisper, my soul, stop running on. Tonight, resting in God is enough. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of His wings. From those conflicts, Psalm 62 leads us to a very clear support trust in Him. At all times, you people, pour out your hearts to Him, for God is our refuge. Not only trust when everything is calm, not only pour out your heart when you have tried everything else, but at all times. Trust when you are strong. Trust when you are weak. Trust when you have much. Trust when you have little. And when you trust, you are invited to pour out your hearts to Him, to let your heart flow out. No need to protect your image, No need to polish your words. No need to pretend to be strong. In this small room tonight, you can sit as if you were sitting before someone who understands you deeply and let your heart spill out little by little. No one scoring you. No one cutting you off. You might say only very short sentences. Lord, I'm tired. Lord, I'm worried. Lord, I'm afraid. Very short sentences, but enough to open a door inside. Then near the end of the psalm, a line appears like a small gem picked up from the ground, tiny but bright. One thing God has spoken, two things I have heard. Power belongs to you. God, and with you, Lord, is unfailing love. Power belongs to God. Faithful love is with God, not leaning to one side, not power without love, not love without strength. We live in a world that often splits those two apart. Power without love, love without faithfulness. But in God, power and steadfast love dwell together. Tonight, if your heart is trembling because of people who have power but lack love, or because of loves that lack faithfulness, you can let this line become a shelter over you. There is another. In him, power and love, strength and gentleness stand together. I quiet the noise in my heart so I can hear that you are enough. Not to hear something brand new, but to hear again what is old yet deeper. Power belongs to you, God, and with you, Lord, is unfailing love. From anxiety, you step into surrender. Not a blind surrender, but one resting on a real rock. From surrender, you touch peace. The peace of someone who knows they are not the owner, not the one who must hold everything, not the one who must have every answer. And from that peace, restful sleep begins to come near. Outside, the city may still be lit. Messages may still be unanswered. Tomorrow may still hold many tasks. But in here, in this night, you are allowed to close your eyes like a lake after the wind slowly becoming still, like a flock of sheep after a long day settling down on the grass under the watchful eyes of the shepherd. You can let the night close with one very soft sentence, as if you are speaking to yourself, as if you are speaking to the Lord. Truly, my soul finds rest in God. I quiet the noise inside so I can hear that you are enough. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of his wings. And now, after we have just sat quietly with Psalm 62, after we have quieted some of the noise within to recognize that only in God does the soul truly find rest, I invite you to step into another landscape. No longer the still room, but a wide stretch of sand. No longer the calm surface of the lake, but a dry desert high night sky, the hot wind now cooled. Right now, I am still only a gentle, content assistant for your channel. Just a small voice sitting beside you in the night. Not teaching, not arguing, only whispering with you right now about Psalm 63. The prayer of someone standing in the middle of the desert whose heart is thirsting for God himself, more than for any other water. Psalm 63 begins like a dry breath, but a very honest one. You, God, are my God. Earnestly I seek you. I thirst for you. My whole being longs for you in a dry and parched land where there is no water. It is not only the desert outside, it is the desert inside. The place where everything that once excited you suddenly feels dull, where words of encouragement no longer feel enough, where success feels dry, relationships feel heavy, and strength feels spent. Perhaps tonight you too are in some kind of desert, the desert of a hurting body, the desert of bad news, the desert of long, repetitive days with no clear way out, the desert of prayers that have not been answered in the way you had hoped. Psalm 63 does not deny the desert. It does not pretend that life is always green pastures. But right there in the dry ground, the one who prays realizes something very strange and very deep. What he longs for most is not a changed circumstance, but God himself. Because your love is better than life, my lips will glorify you. Your love is better than life. The line sounds big, but for someone standing in the desert, it is very real. Because when every other support has slipped away, we finally see who the rock is who never leaves. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of his wings. We will gently return to this refrain, like a cool breeze crossing the desert at night. The conflict of Psalm 63 is dryness. Dryness on the outside, dryness on the inside. So dry that many people would rather give up and grab any water that is nearest, even if it is stagnant, muddy water. Perhaps in your own deserts, you too have reached for such temporary waters. A harmful habit, an unhealthy relationship, some distraction that numbs you for a moment but leaves even more sand behind in your heart. The one who prays in Psalm 63 chooses another direction. He does not deny his thirst. He turns that thirst toward God. He lets his very lack become his cry. Then in the middle of the desert, he remembers the times he has stood in the sanctuary, the times he has seen glory, tasted closeness. I have seen you in the sanctuary and beheld your power and your glory. Those memories become shade in the night, like when you remember a time you were comforted at exactly the right moment, a time you were rescued from something you could not escape on your own, a time you were strangely at peace while waiting for a tense test result. Tonight, in your own desert, you can quietly reopen those memories too, not to regret, but to trust that the one who came to you then is also here now, in this night. On my bed, I remember you. I think of you through the watches of the night. Psalm 63 is very fitting for sleepless watches. The one who prays does not try to lull himself to sleep with other stories. He remembers God right there on his bed. He thinks about God through every watch, every stretch of the long night. You too are on your bed. Maybe your eyes will not close yet. Your heart will not settle yet. Instead of letting your thoughts run everywhere, you can let a few very short lines return again and again, because your love is better than life. On my bed, I remember you. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of his wings, and then in the middle of the dry desert, a very gentle image appears, the shadow of wings. Because you are my help, I sing in the shadow of your wings. The desert does not vanish. Sand is still under his feet. The night is still wide. But above him, there is a shadow of wings. Under that shadow, the one who prays does more than breathe, he sings. Singing in the desert sounds upside down. But it is precisely when there is nothing left to cling to but God that the song becomes the most pure. In the desert, my mouth still sings, not singing because everything is fine, but because he knows that right in the not fine, God is still the rock, still the shadow of wings, still the right hand that holds him up. I cling to you. Your right hand upholds me. You can picture yourself as a small child, tiny hand clinging to a father's hand. In truth, that little hand is not strong enough to hold on to much. What keeps the child from falling is not the grip of the small hand, but the larger hand that has already closed around it. You cling to God, but it is his right hand that holds you. Tonight, if you feel that you can no longer hold on, maybe you only need to whisper, "I am tired, Lord." Please let your right hand uphold me, and then leave the rest to him. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight I sleep in the shadow of his wings. From dryness, Psalm 63 leads us back to a very pure source. Not the source of circumstances changing right away, but the source of a love that is better than life. From that source, the heart slowly loosens its tight grip. The mouth slowly opens into a small song. It does not have to be complete. It does not have to be beautiful. It only has to be true. You can whisper a few very simple words, Lord, in my desert I still want to sing to you. Maybe you sing with silence, with one deep breath, with staying a little longer with his word instead of scrolling through one more endless loop on the screen. From anxiety, you step into surrender. From surrender, you touch peace. From peace, gentle sleep begins to come like night dew, settling on hot sand, cooling the ground bit by bit. Out there, the desert is still the desert. Tomorrow may still be hard, but tonight you are allowed to rest under the shadow of wings. Because you are my help, I sing in the shadow of your wings. And as a small lullaby to close this night, watch, in the desert my mouth still sings. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight I sleep in the shadow of his wings. And now, after we have just walked through the desert with Psalm 63, after speaking of thirst on dry ground of singing, under the shadow of God's wings, even when lips are cracked, I invite you to step into another region of the night. No longer the private desert of one person, but a whole land, a whole people, a shared story where sin, anger, and the hope of restoration all stand together on the same soil. Right now, I am still only a small, gentle content assistant for your channel. Just a soft voice sitting beside you in this quiet room, under this gentle night roof. Not teaching, not arguing, only opening Psalm 85 with you. Like opening a window that looks out over a field waiting for rain, waiting for sun, waiting for a very strange kiss between righteousness and peace. Psalm 85 is the prayer of a whole community, not just I, but we. Not only one tired heart, but a people carrying memories of the times God has forgiven, restored, and also been angry. They remember past mercy. They speak to the Lord like someone remembering a rainy season that has already passed. The Lord once forgave, once gathered back the exiles, once covered sin, once softened his anger. Then they look at the present. They see that the land is still heavy. Hearts are still clouded. The relationship with God still feels distant. Maybe tonight you also carry a little of that feeling, not only about your own personal story, but about family, society, the church, the country. There are crooked things. There are injustices. There is unfaithfulness. There are angers of God that we do not dare to name out loud, only feel like a thick cloud stretched over us. In that atmosphere, Psalm 85 places one very gentle sentence at the center. I will listen to what God the Lord says. He promises peace to his people, his faithful servants. The writer does not only speak, he chooses to listen. Amid all the opinions, debates, and complaints, he chooses to be still for a moment to hear. Not to hear public opinion, not to hear the noise, but to hear what God the Lord says. Tonight, in this small room, you too are in a pocket of quiet. No traffic noise, no meeting noise, only the sound of your own breathing. If you can, you might let your heart say softly, I want to hear what you are saying to my heart, to my house, to my land. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of his wings. We will gently return to this refrain, like a small bridge joining the story of an ancient people to our own story today. The conflict of Psalm 85 is the conflict between anger and unfaithfulness. Not only that God is angry, but that the people have stepped back from him, have chosen other roads, have followed habits that dry the land and tangle the heart. The writer dares to speak to God about that anger. He does not deny it, does not paint it prettier, but he also does not despair. He dares to ask, will you be angry forever? Will your wrath stretch on through every generation? Sometimes you and I carry similar questions. After shared crises, after seasons of disease, upheaval, loss, after scandals, events that make hearts sink, we silently ask, is there a point when God turns his face away? Does he still desire to restore, or have we gone too far? Psalm 85 does not give us an argument. It gives us an image. And that image is very gentle. Surely his salvation is near those who fear him, that his glory may dwell in our land. Salvation is not far away. It is near, very near to those who fear him, who return, who admit they need healing. And his glory may dwell in our land. His glory may once again dwell, not just pass by, but stay, over the land, over a family, over a community. From here, Psalm 85 opens one of the most beautiful pictures, like a night scene where heaven and earth meet. Love and faithfulness meet together. Righteousness and peace kiss each other. Faithfulness springs forth from the earth, and righteousness looks down from heaven. Love and faithfulness meet together. Love and faithfulness meet together. On one side, sincerity rises up from the earth. On the other, steadfastness looks down from heaven. Righteousness and peace kiss each other. Righteousness and peace kiss. They no longer stand on two opposite sides. It is no longer cold judgment on one side and cheap peace on the other. They meet, touch, and blend into a single kiss. In that kiss, there is justice, so that no one is forgotten. There is peace, so that no one is crushed. At the place where justice and peace meet, I see your way. That is where we often stand confused. We tend to tilt one way or the other, either only demand justice for ourselves, or only want peace, even if truth gets covered up. God is different. He wants both. He wants to heal without denying truth. He wants to forgive without pretending nothing ever happened. Tonight, if you're carrying within you any brokenness around justice and peace, around right and wrong, and living together, you can let this image rest in your mind for a while. Love and faithfulness meet together. Righteousness and peace kiss each other. Under that picture, Psalm 85 adds a very warm detail. Faithfulness springs forth from the earth, and righteousness looks down from heaven. The Lord will indeed give what is good, and our land will yield its harvest. Above righteousness looks down from heaven. Below faithfulness springs forth from the earth. Between them, our land will yield its harvest. When faithfulness rises up from the ground and meets righteousness looking down from heaven, the land begins to bear fruit. Not only grain and crops, but also the fruits of the human heart. Truth, reconciliation, trust slowly coming back to life. You can think of the small land of your own life, a family, a small group, a community, a region in your memory. Some parts are cracked, some parts are dry, but if in that place there is even a little faithfulness springs forth from the earth, God promises the Lord will indeed give what is good. Not right away, not loudly, but indeed, surely, quietly, my soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of his wings. From anxiety about anger and unfaithfulness, we are invited to step into surrender. Surrender is not giving up. It is bringing the shared story, bringing our own land and laying it under the shadow of his wings. From surrender, we begin to glimpse another kind of peace. Not peace because every issue has been resolved, but peace because we know that over the broken lines of history, God is still working so that righteousness and peace kiss each other. And from that peace, restful sleep draws near. You can picture the land where you live as a wide field in the night. Some parts already harvested, some parts with bare stubble, some parts only just sown. Across that field, the Lord walks slowly. He does not rush the seasons. He wants faithful love to sprout from the ground little by little. He wants the land to truly bear fruit, not just be covered with a thin temporary coat of color. Tonight, under this small roof on this bed, you can take part in that larger story with nothing more than a small lullaby for your own heart. At the place where justice and peace meet, I see your way. I choose to stand there, even if only through one small action, one honest word, one forgiveness, one prayer for my land. And then let this very gentle Vietnamese refrain wrap itself around you and the land around you. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of his wings. And now, after we have just walked across the field of Psalm 85, after seeing the place where justice and peace touch, I invite you to go a little further into the night. No longer only the field and its harvest, but the night itself. The unseen dangers, the things that make your heart sink a little whenever evening falls. Right now, I am still only a gentle, content assistant for your channel. Just a small, soft voice sitting beside you in this quiet room under this gentle night roof. Not teaching, not arguing, only whispering beside you right now about Psalm 91. A very familiar song, but one that touches a different place in our hearts each night. Psalm 91 opens with a very night-like, very tender image. Whoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. There is a shelter, there is a shadow, there is a covering that is invisible yet real. Whoever stays beneath it will rest. You can imagine yourself tonight as a traveler. The day has been long. The news has been many. The body is tired. The mind is crowded. Now you step into a small house. You gently close the door. The light is soft. The space slows down. And above all, there is this sense I am sheltered. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of his wings. We will gently repeat this refrain, like a deep breath, like a step leaving the noise and stepping under the porch. Psalm 91 touches a very deep layer of human fear, not only the things we can see, but the unseen dangers, the terror of night, the arrow that flies by day, the pestilence that stalks in the darkness, the plague that destroys at midday. You and I have lived through such seasons. Pandemics, rumors, invisible arrows in the form of words, messages, looks. Things we cannot fully see, yet still fear. There are fears we cannot name. Fear of waking up to bad news. Fear of a phone call in the middle of the night. Fear of test results. Fear of what might happen even before it does. Psalm 91 does not tell us, don't be afraid in a forced way. It does not say, don't be afraid, there's nothing to fear. Instead, it names each kind of danger. Then it places all of them beneath a larger shadow. He will cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you will find refuge. This is the gentle center of the whole psalm. The Almighty is not only a fortress, He is also a mother bird spreading her wings, a shadow of wings over a small trembling bird. You can picture yourself tonight as a little bird wet with dew wings tired. You tuck yourself under the larger wing. You no longer see all the dangers around you, but you hear a warm, steady, deep heartbeat above you. The night may be long, but His shadow is longer. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of His wings. The conflict of Psalm 91 is not strange to our time. Pestilence, plague, words that have echoed very close to us in the years of disease. Some families lost loved ones. Some people lost their jobs. Some lost deep, lasting peace, even after the outbreaks passed. Add to that the arrow. The arrow. Long ago it was a weapon of war. Today it can be a wounding message, a sudden attack in words, a decision someone else makes that affects you and you cannot control it. In the midst of all this, Psalm 91 does not promise that we will avoid everything, but it does promise this: there is one who knows, one who keeps, one who acts at the right time in His way. For He will command His angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. Angels guarding you. You may not see them, cannot measure them, cannot prove them. Yet how many times in your life have you slipped past something very close? One step that almost went wrong, but did not. One result that was corrected. One meeting you thought would be bad, but turned out to be good. Maybe that was not just good luck. Maybe it was angels quietly doing their work. Tonight, as you lie down, the world is still full of uncertainty, but Psalm 91 gives you a line to tuck under your pillow, for He will command His angels concerning you. It is not you protecting yourself all alone. You do not have to stay awake all night to keep everything in place. There is one who stays awake. There are angels guarding you under His command. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of His wings. Then near the end, Psalm 91 changes voice. It is no longer someone speaking about God. It is God Himself speaking. Because He loves me, says the Lord, I will rescue him. I will protect him, for he acknowledges my name. He will call on me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. With long life I will satisfy him and show him my salvation. This is a very full promise. Rescue, protect, be with him in trouble, deliver him, honor him, show him my salvation. It is not that life will no longer have trouble. It is, I will be with him in trouble. He does not stand far off. He is with us. Like someone sitting by a hospital bed, like someone standing by your side in the courtroom, like someone staying awake in the house while the whole family sleeps. Here, Psalm 91 answers one of our deepest fears, the fear of being left alone when something bad happens. Tonight, if your heart is filled with quiet what ifs, what if tomorrow is bad? What if this falls apart? What if my health declines even more? What if? The psalm does not erase all the ifs, but it writes a subject into the middle of the sentence, I will be with him in trouble. The night may be long, but his shadow is longer. You can let this line be like a blanket spread over your small worries. You do not have to throw them away. You simply cover them with something thicker, the presence of God. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of his wings. From fear of disease, of danger of the unseen things beyond your reach, you are invited to step into surrender. Surrender is not recklessness, not carelessness. It is living carefully in the daytime and resting peacefully at night. Because you know whoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. From surrender you touch peace, not because you are stronger, but because you know you are resting in the shadow, not resting in nothingness, but in a real shadow of wings. And from that peace, sleep will draw near, like a child who has been scared all day, finally finding arms to curl up in, like a lamb that wandered in the late afternoon, finally being led back into the fold. You can let the night close with a very soft sentence. The night may be long, but your shadow is longer. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of his wings. And now, after we have just rested safely under the shadow of the Almighty, after hearing the promise he will cover you with his feathers, I invite you to take one more step into the night. This time, we are not only speaking about dangers on the outside, but about the condition on the inside, about a tired body, about a human life fragile as a breath of smoke. Right now, I am still only a gentle, content assistant for your channel. Just a small voice sitting beside you in this quiet room under the deep night roof. Not teaching, not arguing, only whispering beside you right now about Psalm 103, a song about a mercy that lasts longer than the lifespan of any human life. Psalm 103 opens with a very soft, very intimate call. Praise the Lord, my soul. All my inmost being, praise his holy name. It does not call the world. It does not call the crowd. It calls my soul. It calls the deepest part, the most forgetful part, the part that grows tired the easiest. You can imagine the psalmist tonight sitting just like you, also in a small room, also in a body that has lived many years, also with a heart that is sometimes hot, sometimes cold. And then he turns inward and speaks to himself, "O my soul, do not forget. Praise the Lord, my soul, and forget not all his benefits." Do not forget, because our hearts forget so easily. Forget the times we were forgiven. Forget the times we were healed. Forget the new mornings that once came at exactly the right time. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of his wings. We will gently repeat this refrain, like a way of reminding ourselves God's love is longer than our short memory. Psalm 103 begins to list those benefits, but not in a way of counting his merits, rather in a way of remembering grace, who forgives all your sins and heals all your diseases, who redeems your life from the pit and crowns you with love and compassion, who satisfies your desires with good things so that your youth is renewed like the eagles. He forgives, he heals, he rescues from the pit. He places on your head a gentle crown, love and compassion. He fills you with good things to the point that your youth is renewed like an eagle taking flight. Tonight, your body may no longer have youth in the ordinary sense, aching joints, broken sleep, shortness of breath, strength not what it once was. But Psalm 103 speaks of another kind of youth, the youth of faith, the youth of hope, the youth of a heart, which though it has passed through many wounds, is still soft enough to receive mercy. From anxiety about fading strength, we are invited to look back on the times God has redeemed your life from the pit, the times when it seemed you would not get up again, and yet you are still here in this night, listening to the word. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of his wings. The conflict of Psalm 103 is very real. Not an enemy outside, but the condition of dust. A human life that passes quickly. As for man, his days are like grass. He flourishes like a flower of the field. The wind blows over it, and it is gone, and its place remembers it no more. The flower of the field blooms beautifully, and after a few days of wind, it is gone. So, it is with us. One day the place where we used to live, will belong to someone else. Our name will be spoken less and less in people's conversations. Tonight, you may feel this more clearly. You see gray hair. You see friends slowly leaving. You feel your strength is no longer what it was. Psalm 103 does not deny that sadness, but it places beside it another line longer and deeper. But from everlasting to everlasting, the Lord's love is with those who fear him. From everlasting to everlasting, the love of the Lord does not grow old, does not turn gray, does not change. His compassion is not worn down by age, is not faded by time. Human beings are like grass, but his love is like the heavens. Our life passes quickly, but his mercy stretches beyond earth and sky. From east to west, you erase my sins without limit. Psalm 103 uses a very concrete image for this. As far as the east is from the west, so far has he removed our transgressions from us. East and west never meet. That distance is infinite. God does not keep our sins at a near distance to bring them up all the time. He takes them far away, so far that they cannot be found again. Maybe you still remember the times you were wrong. Remember the words you said. Remember the failures. Remember so much that you cannot forgive yourself. Tonight, Psalm 103 gives you another way of seeing. If you have truly turned back, have allowed God to forgive, then the distance between you and those sins is growing as far as the east is from the west. Not because you deserve it, but because the Lord is compassionate and gracious, slow to anger, abounding in love. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of his wings. Psalm 103 also has a very gentle line for those who often blame themselves, who press themselves too hard. For he knows how we are formed. He remembers that we are dust. God remembers we are dust. He does not wait for a perfect block of stone. He knows we are fragile. He knows we forget easily. He knows we are weak. Sometimes we are harsher with ourselves than God is with us. God remembers we are dust. But we demand that we must be steel. Tonight, you can breathe a little easier. You can say very softly, Lord, I am only dust. I want to live better, but I also ask to see myself through your gentle eyes. From anxiety about our fragility, we step into surrender. Surrender into the hands of one who does not forget. Who does not forget that we are weak, and does not forget that we need mercy more than judgment. Then, like a great dome spread over every human life, Psalm 103 speaks of God's kingship. The Lord has established his throne in heaven, and his kingdom rules over all. Above our short lives, there is a steady throne. Above every wrinkle at the corner of our eyes, there is a kingship that does not fade. This does not make life less brief, but it makes the weight of worry lighter, because we know in the end everything rests in the hands of the one who rules over all. Tonight, you lie under your small roof. Above your roof is the sky. Above the sky is the one who holds every star in place. Amid the dust of one human life, you are held by a mercy that stretches beyond heaven and earth. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of his wings. From anxiety about age, about failures, about death, you are invited to step into surrender. Surrender to a love that has walked with countless generations before you and will walk with those who come after you. From surrender, a small peace settles in your chest. Not loud, not dazzling. Just a quiet sense I am forgiven. I am known. I am remembered even when people forget. And from that peace, gentle sleep begins to draw near. Out there, human life is still short. Dust still dances in a thin shaft of light outside the window. But in here, in this dim room, in this chest breathing slowly, mercy is still here, stretching farther than from east to west. You can let the night close with a very soft sentence. From east to west, you erase my sins without limit. For he knows how we are formed. He remembers that we are dust. Then let this familiar lullaby wrap you into sleep. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of his wings. And now, after we have walked through the dark night under his wings, after we have found peace in his hands, I invite you to continue the journey, but this time not into the desert or the long night, but onto a different kind of road. A road that may be full of worries, full of doubts, and at times full of exhaustion. No longer only the sheltering wings, but a protection that does not cease, not just for a moment, but for an entire lifetime. Right now, I am still only a small content assistant for your channel. Just a gentle voice sitting beside you in the night. Not teaching, not arguing, only walking with you into Psalm 121, where we hear about a God who never sleeps, never slumbers, always keeps watch, always draws near. Psalm 121 opens with a question that is very real, very close. I lift up my eyes to the mountains. Where does my help come from? Not from somewhere far away, not from something outside of us, but from the very depths of the soul where we discover strength. That question is not only simply, where does my help come from? It is also a reminder to our own hearts. My strength, my help is right here, not in some far-off place. And then the answer comes immediately after, gentle yet firm. My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. This is a very solid affirmation, not from our own strength, not from plans, money, or human connections, but from the Lord, the Creator, the one who made heaven and earth. He is the one who set every star in place, every drop of rain, every step upon this ground. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of his wings. We will gently repeat this refrain, like a deep breath, like a slow step in the night, so that your heart can remember there is one who never forgets, never closes. His eyes always stays near. The conflict in Psalm 121 is a very real and familiar kind of fear. Protection is needed, but not always easy to see. By day, the sun will not harm you, nor the moon by night. The worry about burning sun and about the night. Protection not only in the easy moments, but in every hour. By day, we fear the scorching heat. By night, we fear the shadows that threaten. Dangers are not only visible, but invisible, hidden within each passing moment. Perhaps you have carried such worries too, fearing something that has not yet happened, but seems to hang over you, fearing things you cannot control, fearing for your health, your work, your future. But Psalm 121 tells us that the one we trust never sleeps, never slumbers. Even when we do not see him, he is awake. The Lord will keep you from all harm. He will watch over your life. This is a very firm promise. Not that there will be no difficulties, but that he will keep you. He will watch over your life, whether you can perceive it or not. Tonight, you may not yet have clear answers for every anxiety in your heart. Your thoughts may still circle restlessly, but there is one thing you can be sure of. The Lord does not sleep. He does not forget you. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of his wings. Psalm 121 continues, not to draw a world without suffering, but so that we may recognize one important truth. The Lord is the one who keeps us, even when our circumstances are full of trials. The Lord will watch over your coming and going both now and forevermore. He watches over your coming and going, wherever you go, wherever you return. Every step, every moment, he is there. Not only in the easy hours, but in the ones heavy with worry. You may feel that you are on a long journey with many doors still closed, with nights that feel as though they will not end. But Psalm 121 reminds you that you never walk alone. The Lord is watching over you, whether you notice him or not. Tonight, you can picture yourself walking under the gentle light of the night, sensing an invisible hand steadying each step, not only in daylight, but also in the dark. The Lord keeps you, even when you cannot see him. He is still there. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of his wings. When you rest in this night, it means you are entrusting all your worries, all your fears, all your burdens to the one who never sleeps, not because you have no anxieties, but because you know there is one who is awake, who keeps watch. From anxiety, you step into surrender. Surrender to the keeper who never leaves. Surrender into the quiet of the night. From surrender, you find peace. Peace, not because everything is already fixed, but because you know you are not alone. There is one who is guarding you in every step. And from that peace, sleep draws near, gentle, tender, like a soft gift from the one who keeps you through the night. Outside, the night may still be long, but here in this night, you are protected. In the shadow of the Almighty, you are comforted. You can rest knowing that in all your going out and coming in, he is there keeping you. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of his wings. From anxiety about unseen dangers, you step into surrender to the one who never slumbers. From surrender, you find peace. And from that peace, gentle sleep will come. In the middle of the long night, you know that he is still awake, keeping watch over you in the shadow of his wings. And now, after we have just listened to Psalm 121, have lifted our eyes to the mountains and heard about the one who will neither slumber nor sleep, who watches over our coming and going, I invite you to step into a very small, very deep place in the night. No longer the long road, no longer the fear of danger, but the inner room of your own soul where you are allowed to become small. Right now, I am still just a gentle content assistant for your channel. Just a small voice sitting beside you in the soft darkness, not here to teach, not here to argue, only to whisper with you right now about a very short but very deep psalm. Psalm 131, the lesson of returning to a childlike heart. Psalm 131 has only a few lines, as small as a breath, as short as a lullaby. Yet it holds the whole journey of a person from pride and anxious, striving to humility and quiet peace. The one who prays begins very gently, my heart is not proud. Lord, my eyes are not haughty. I do not concern myself with great matters or things too wonderful for me. He does not boast about being humble. He is simply telling the Lord about a posture he has learned. Before, perhaps he also used to run after things too great, used to want to understand everything, used to want to control everything, used to want to be the one who held the final answer. You and I, as we grow older, easily become like that too. The more we grow, the more we feel we must try harder. We must understand everything in the family. We must take care of everything about tomorrow. We must carry burdens that are far beyond our reach. There are nights when it is exactly these great matters that keep us from sleeping. We keep thinking about things that are not really our part, about matters that only God can hold, and yet we try to hold them ourselves. The one who prays in Psalm 131 chooses to lay these down, not laying down responsibility, but laying down self-importance, letting go of the desire to understand everything, to grasp everything. Tonight, if in your heart there are also big questions rising up about the future, about health, about your children, about your life, you can sit quietly for a moment and let this line pass softly through your heart. I do not concern myself with great matters or things too wonderful for me. It does not mean I do not care. It means I recognize there are things far beyond my small capacity. I place them back into your hands. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of his wings. We will gently return to this refrain, like a small step from I must to Lord, I trust you, from straining to leaning. Then Psalm 131 gives us a very beautiful, very tender image. But I have calmed and quieted myself. I am like a weaned child with its mother. Like a weaned child, I am content. Not a baby still craving milk, still crying, still demanding, but a weaned child. A child who has been weaned, sitting against its mother, not to demand, but simply to be present. Such a child cannot explain very much. It does not ask about politics, economics, or the future. It only knows its mother's heart is warm. Her chest is a place to lean. Her breath is a gentle lullaby. Tonight, Psalm 131 invites you to become small like that. Not childish in your thinking, but returning to a childlike heart in your relationship with God. You do not need to prepare a long speech. You do not need to line up arguments in your mind. Perhaps you only need to say very softly, Lord, tonight I am tired enough. I only want to sit quietly with you like a weaned child resting against its mother. Then let your heart slow down. Let your shoulders drop. Let those great matters step a little further away. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of his wings. The conflict in Psalm 131 is pride and anxious striving. These two often walk together. When we think we must know everything, we start to carry burdens that are not ours. When we think we must fix everything, we forget that we are also only children. The one who prays says, my heart is not proud. Lord, my eyes are not haughty. The heart has become less inflated. The eyes have become less lifted in arrogance. It is not that he has become worthless. On the contrary, he has become free. Free from the pressure of having to be the center of everything. Free from the heavy weight of an ego that always wants more wants. Higher wants control. Tonight, you can look back over your day. Were there moments when you were exhausted from pushing beyond your strength, from fearing others would think you weak, from trying to hold everything together at home? If so, you do not need to scold yourself. You only need to notice it and then whisper, I am learning to become small in order to find rest. To learn smallness is not to shrink back. It is to step into your true place, the place of a child in the Father's hands. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of his wings. The release in Psalm 131 comes from learning quietness and trust. Silence here is not suppressing every emotion. It is letting the heart grow less noisy, letting go of the urge to chase down answers to things only God can know. At the end of the psalm, the one who prays turns to the whole community. Israel, put your hope in the Lord both now and forevermore. Once he has learned smallness, he does not keep that peace for himself. He invites the whole people to put your hope in the Lord. Tonight, in this small room, you can do the same for those you love. You cannot solve all their problems. You cannot walk their path for them. But you can place your hope for yourself and for them into God's hands. You can close your eyes, remember someone dear who is anxious. Remember a child who is far away. Remember a friend who is ill, and whisper, Lord, I do not understand everything, and I cannot do everything. I only know how to place them in your hands. Israel, put your hope in the Lord both now and forevermore. From anxiety, you step into surrender. Surrender like a child resting its head on its mother's chest, not asking for tomorrow's schedule, just listening to a heartbeat and trusting. From surrender, you begin to touch a very small peace. Not a peace because every question has been answered, but a peace because you decide not to ask any more questions tonight. Tonight, simply being with the Lord is enough. And from that peace, gentle sleep will draw near. You can picture yourself as that child in its mother's arms, already weaned, no longer crying to demand, simply curled up, feeling warm, and slowly drifting into sleep. Outside, the night is still the same. There are still many things unfinished. There are still great matters. But here, in this room, within this chest that is breathing slowly, you are allowed to become small. I am learning to become small in order to find rest. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of his wings. I am your Vietnamese English translator and gentle content assistant here to render your text faithfully into English. I will keep every detail with a warm, soothing, reverent tone suitable for a biblical prayer, meditation, voiceover for sleep. And now, after we have just learned to become small in order to find rest with Psalm 131, to let our hearts stop clinging to things too great for us, I invite you to take one more step, a step from knowing you are small to knowing you are loved, known, understood all the way to the depths. Right now, I'm still just a gentle, content assistant for your channel, just a small voice sitting beside you in the night, not here to teach, not here to argue, only to whisper with you right now about Psalm 139, a very deep psalm speaking of a God who knows you more fully than you know yourself and yet chooses to stay. Psalm 139 begins with a very intimate whisper. You have searched me, Lord, and you know me. You know when I sit and when I rise. You perceive my thoughts from afar. God does not only know the big things. He knows when you sit down, when you stand up. He knows even the fleeting thoughts that do not yet become words. Tonight, as you lie in bed, your eyes may be closed, your mouth may be silent, but your mind is full of flowing thoughts. You do not need to explain anything to God. He has already perceived your thoughts from afar. He knows even the things you do not say to anyone. You know even the words I have not yet spoken. That is a very gentle anchor for prayer. because you do not have to perform. You do not have to arrange your sentences. You do not have to pretend to be strong. You can simply lie still, breathe slowly, and let your heart be present before Him. Just that is already prayer. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of His wings. We will gently repeat this refrain as a small bridge between being fully known and being able to rest. The conflict in Psalm 139 is not mostly on the outside. It lies in a very deep place. We long to be understood, and at the same time, we are afraid of being completely seen. Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? There is a part of us that wants to run from God's gaze, to run from the places we do not want anyone to touch, to run from memories, from sins, from the dark corners inside. But Psalm 139 speaks very gently. No matter where you go, He is there. If I go up to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. He is on the mountaintops. He is also in the depths. The places where you are proud, He sees. The places where you are ashamed, He is there too. But He does not leave. Tonight, if you are lying on some kind of bed in the depths, a low season, a private sorrow, a region of sin you have not dared to confess, you can let this line touch you for a moment. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. He does not despise that bed. He steps toward it. He sits beside you. In this very night, my soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of His wings. Psalm 139 also speaks of the night in a very gentle way. Even the darkness will not be dark to you. The night will shine like the day, for darkness is as light to you. We are afraid of the night, afraid of what we cannot see, afraid of the past returning, afraid of a future that feels foggy. But for God, the night does not make Him blind. Where you see darkness, He still sees the way. Where you see no way out, He still sees a path. You may be in an inner darkness right now. No one understands. No one enters that place. But with Him, even that darkness can become a place of light. Even the darkness will not be dark to you. This line is like a shelter for sleepless nights. You do not have to pretend that morning has already come. You only need to know that before Him, even darkness is light. Then Psalm 139 brings us back to the very intimate origin of our being. For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. It is not only that God knows you, He has woven you together, every cell, every strand of hair, every trace of your personality. You are not a defective product, not a redundant copy. You have been knit by His hand. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. Maybe all your life you have been used to hearing sentences that make you feel less valuable, comparisons, judgments, words that cause you to doubt yourself. Tonight, Psalm 139 lets you hear another voice, the voice of the one who saw you in your mother's womb, the voice of the one who has been present at every single beat of your heart. You know even the words I have not yet spoken. You also know the wounds I have not yet named. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of His wings. But Psalm 139 is not only a gentle lullaby. It also touches a place of struggle. Struggle with evil, with injustice, with what goes against God's heart. The one who prays speaks very strong words about the wicked. This is the honesty of a heart that suffers in the face of sin and injustice. This reminds us that in prayer we are allowed to speak truthfully, allowed to bring even anger, confusion, and indignation before God. The Psalms, including Psalm 139, give us language to speak with God in every emotional tone: fear, anger, bewilderment, trust, surrender. When we dare to speak honestly with God, we begin to learn unanxious presence standing before Him without a mask. Finally, Psalm 139 brings us to a very gentle prayer, like the destination of this whole journey of being known completely. Search me, God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. See if there is any offensive way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting. This is the moment when we no longer run. We ask Him to search me, to shine His light, not to condemn, but to heal. Know my anxious thoughts. He already knows, but we still want to place them on the table. Those anxious thoughts that rob us of sleep, those nameless worries, those circling ideas that never stop. Tonight, you can lay this line over your chest as a breathing prayer. Search me, God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. Then let Him do His part and lead me in the way everlasting. Lead me in the everlasting way, not the hurried way, not the shortcut, but the gentle, long way where you go before I go behind with small steps, but steady. From anxieties laid bare before God, you step into surrender. Surrender into the hands of the one who knew you before you knew how to say His name. From surrender, peace arrives, not because you fully understand yourself, but because you trust this: there is one who understands you completely and does not leave you. And from that peace, gentle sleep begins to draw near. You can let the night close with a very quiet sentence. You know even the words I have not yet spoken. Search me, God, and know my heart. Lead me in the way everlasting. Then let the familiar lullaby embrace both your soul and your body in the night. My soul rests in God alone. He is my rock and my fortress. Tonight, I sleep in the shadow of His wings.